saying. President Muhammadu Buhari is asking Southeast leaders to seek ways of curbing the activities of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and its militant wing, Eastern Security Network. The president was speaking when he met with Ohaneze and Southeast leaders in Abakaleke, the Ebonyi State capital, on day 2 of his visit to the state. The president said the activities of the two groups, just like any terrorist group, will be treated with the seriousness it deserves.
Brutal killings towards their hate-filled messages, but now have them terrorized through their brutal killings, truncation of commercial activities, restriction of freedom of movement, and the ability to exercise basic human rights must be fleshed out from amongst us, and that can only be done with the support of the people. I have listened carefully to the various appeals from the elders to the traditional leaders regarding a wide range of options. And as I have said previously, this matter remains in the full purview of the courts, where it will be properly educated. My worry is for our hard-working and innocent civilians for whom life is already tough and would like to just go out and earn a decent, honest living. There are many that fit this profile, and the government owes them that obligation to protect their lives and property. I will once again repeat, no one has the right to carry an AK-47 rifle, and anyone seen in any part of the country doing so and is not a law enforcement officer is a threat to our peaceful coexistence and should be treated as such. As we find ourselves in the process of selecting another round of leadership for our country, I have repeatedly insisted that among the many legalities I am committed to ensuring is that of a free and fair elections.
Edo State Executive Council says it is evolving policies and programs that will empower farmers and other value chain players to take advantage of the vast economic potentials in agriculture to make life better for them. To this end, the council says it has worked out a program tagged Farm to Table to identify the agricultural uniqueness of Edo State and bring them to mainstream stores globally. Naru Swanlele brings details.
Governor Godwin Obaseki chairs the first Executive Council meeting for the month of May. Key in the agenda is the Council's resolution to strengthen the policies and evolve programs that encourage the ease of doing business in Edo. The Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Afishetu Brahma, says the government has decided to launch the Farm to Table program to empower Edo people by making their products compete favorably in the international market for the well-being of the producers and to celebrate Edo.
In line with that is coming up with a policy where anything that is manufactured or produced or processed or packaged in Edo State should have the Proudly Edo logo. What that does, it celebrates who we are, where we are, and what we have once again to the global market and to Nigeria at large. That way, Edo, which is the heartbeat of the nation, is felt not just within Edo, but globally.
The Commissioner said the government was working with international partners to identify products that are chef-ready for exhibition at the 6th Lagos NASE Trade Fair.
What that does is it helps showcase made in Edo products outside of Edo and also gives them an opportunity to mix with their counterparts and help them put their products on the shelves outside of Edo State. And our goal and our hope is that they would appreciate this opportunity, they will learn from it, and hopefully some of these products right from the fair make an opportunity to have shelf space in mainstream stores.
SEC also approved the migration of the ongoing Operation Show Your Building plan to Operation Plan Edo, involving more MDAs, critical to the Development Master Plan. The Commissioner for Physical Planning, Urban and Regional Development, Isoke Omo, gives reasons.
And the reason is really simple. Government is interested in providing services that are relevant to the people. And as we go around, we are able to get first-hand information on what services and infrastructure each community needs. So going forward, it will not be only Ministry of Physical Planning staff that will be coming around, but staff from other ministries. Now, what we also wanted to discuss was to register at what happened last week, Friday, at Ogege area, where some of our staff were attacked by people in the community. Council took this very, very seriously, and they have insisted that the people who perpetrated this act will not go scot-free. We would ensure that the full weight of the law is brought on them.
The State Head of Service, Anthony Okungbowa, appreciated Governor Godwin Obaseki for the May-Day increase of minimum wage for workers and the approval of harmonized pension for senior citizens.
Council, through the Head of Service of Edo State, Anthony Okungbowa Esquire, thanked His Excellency for his recent approval of 40,000 Naira minimum wage for Edo workers, and also the harmonized pension for Edo pensioners. And the good thing about this decision is that within the last 21 years, we've not had a situation of harmonized pension for Edo workers, and that is what inspired the commendation of Council to His Excellency, and also for the Labour House, which of course is an architectural masterpiece, first of its kind.
Henry Swanlele, EBS News.
The Edo State Erosion and Watershed Management Project, NEWMAP, is seeking media collaboration in driving the conversation to heighten awareness on flood control as the rain sets in. State coordinator of NEWMAP, Tom Obaseki, made the call at a flood engagement workshop organized in Benin City, where he tasked residents on attitudinal change. Henry Swanlele brings details.
The essence of this workshop, attended by representatives from various media houses, is to scale up sensitization of residents on some human activities culminating in environmental disasters, especially flooding. The Edo State coordinator of NEWMAP, Tom Obaseki, blames the recurring incidents of flooding in Benin City and other parts of the state on a number of factors, including long-term neglect of environmental infrastructure, indiscriminate allocation of land by communities, inappropriate dumping of refuse, climate change, amongst others. He notes that drastic decisions must be taken to efficiently address the ugly trend.
The plan is enforcing most of this legal and creating the legal framework. The other is to inventorize existing infrastructure, which is also currently ongoing. The third one is to retrofit where it has been degraded. And the fourth one, which is also running simultaneously with the other three, is a detailed and extensive maintenance program for already built infrastructure.
The NEWMAP chief, who called for change in attitude by community members, solicits the support of the media to heighten the awareness of residents on the disastrous consequences of human actions on the environment.
It's unfortunate, like I always say, flooding, or to be a victim of flood. But when some of these things keep coming, I think it's our responsibility as men in the media to help us communicate to every one of us how the action of each of us get to worsen the issue of flooding. So that is an appeal we are making today.
Other officials call for caution in the allocation and construction of property to avoid blocking waterways.
They are aware that almost everybody along our road dump their refuse on the waterway anytime it is raining. So one would be surprised why Ipoba River will not overflow its bank. One thing we easily forget is that man is part of the environment. Whatever you put into the environment is what comes back to you.
Where previously that rain came down in 5 hours, the same volume of water and rain now comes down in 1 hour. So it is the same volume, but we should change our lifestyle.
In the meantime, the NUMAP says it has developed an e-trash app, an innovation that will engage people who will be paid for collecting plastic waste in order to reduce the environmental problems that come with indiscriminate trashing. Henry Swanlele, EBS News.
The Supreme Court has resolved the ownership dispute over 17 oil wells in favor of Rivers State government in a judgment prepared by Justice Edeline Ogunwojombi but delivered by Justice Emmanuel Angim. The Apex Court dismissed the counterclaim ownership put forward by the Imo State government. According to Justices Agwim, Relief 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 sought by the Rivers State government were granted by the court, which include that oil wells within Akri and Negbede communities are all oil wells within the territories of Rivers State and belongs to it. The Apex Court, however, declined to grant Rivers State prayers that Imo State be made to refund all revenues that may have been wrongly paid to the state.
Should be encouraged to follow such steps, and that is approaching their dispute with civility rather than having disputes between states, boundaries, and the rest of them, allowing people to resort into anarchy. The most civilized way of doing things is what these two state governments and the federal government have demonstrated. I will thank the intervention of the Supreme Court, which has brought an end to that dispute.
The threat by the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NAS, to disrupt the forthcoming primaries of the ruling All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, occasioned by the perceived nonchalant attitude of the federal government to the demands of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, have been described as laudable in the efforts to check the insensitivity of government to the situation. This was the collective submission of some parents this Friday in Benin City while speaking on the impasse between the federal government and the striking university teachers. Benedict Okate has the report.
The nationwide strike embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, since February 14, 2022, over the failure on the part of the federal government to satisfactorily implement the Memoranda of Action, MOA, it signed with the union in December 2022 on funding for revitalization of public universities, both federal and states, renegotiation of the 2009 federal government ASU agreements, and the deployment of the University Transparency Accountability Solution, UTAS, among other demands, has crippled academic activities in public universities across the country, with no hope in sight for the resolution of the deadlock after almost 3 months since the students were shut out from their various campuses. In a renewed effort to draw the attention of the federal government to address the lingering strike by ASU, students from the University of Benin on Wednesday, 4th May 2022, embarked on a protest which the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students said will be extended nationwide. NAS President Sunday Asefon said the threats by the association to disrupt the forthcoming primaries of the major political parties and to embark on the protest is obvious that the nation's leadership is not bothered about the plight of the students, but is more interested in the 2023 general elections. These parents, Archbishop Fred Agedo, Reverend Austin Owango, and Bishop Samuel Igelego, affirmed that the threats by the student body could be the best language the federal government may understand at this time.
government of the day is not fair to ASUU, neither the student. So whatever action the students are taking now, the union is taking, I think is very holistic.
To me, it is a barbaric act. If the students can do anything, provided they answer them, I will support them.
I'm advising the president to kindly disburse money to those lecturers. Let them go back to school and teach the children.
On the possible legal implications, if the threats are anything to go by, Barrister Peter Edo Asemota, who also expressed dissatisfaction with the continued stay at home by the university students, enjoined the federal government to do the needful to guarantee the education of the populace.
On the face of it, there is no legal implication. The only thing is that the program of INEC will be affected. Sometimes I fear whether those who are in authority have their children in these federal and state universities.
It was gathered that since 2009, the Academic Staff Union of Universities has embarked on at least 8 strike action, which has left negative impact on tertiary education and the quality of graduates being churned out annually. In spite of this development, the federal government is still yet to address holistically the issues being raised by the university lecturers. In Benin, Benedict Okate, EBS News.
The 2022 Joint Admission and Matriculation Board JAMB Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME commenced this Friday nationwide. Benedict Okate will monitor the conduct of the examination in some centers in Benin City, has report.
The 2022 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME, organized by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, is holding in 750 computer-based centers across the country, where over 1.8 million candidates registered for the examination. Though the news crew was not allowed into any of the computer-based test centers visited, candidates waiting to take their turn in the examination were seen around the venues, just as some parents who accompanied their children and wards were spotted around. This young man, Tafeke David, who sat for the examination in one of the centers, shared his experience.
The only thing that you had problems with was the questions, and that was for English. And that was like the first 8 or 10 questions. And so those questions, they're supposed to be a passage, and questions to answer the questions based on the passage, but there was no passage. So that was the problem we had with the questions. So since there was no passage, we could not answer the questions because that was for the passage.
Did you draw their officials' attention to this, your observation?
Yes, almost everyone was calling them back and forth. That was like the problem everybody had in common for that subject. For English. So they said that they might consider that question.
At the CBT Center on house number 11, Agbado Street, it was frustration on the faces of most of the UTME candidates as the conduct of the examination was said to be hampered by the malfunctioning generating set at the center, as confirmed by these parents who accompanied their children and wards to the center.
Some of the students who came out were saying that some of their systems were shutting down and coming on eventually on their own, and initially they were being attended to. One of the students that came out said just before he submitted that some of the systems shut down completely. As we speak, the gen is off. So I assume that all the systems have shut down because the students are still supposed to be writing. Nobody is coming out. The gen is off as we speak, totally off.
Since 7 or 6:30 we'll be here. The gen is not functional. The students that went inside coming out are complaining about shutting up of the computer. I don't know how the children will be able to write. As at now, the children are held hostage without writing, no computer working. I don't know how these children will be able to come out in this area.
The 2022 UTME, organized by JAMB, is scheduled to end on May 16, 2022. Benedict Okati, EBS News.
State Police Command has confirmed the arrest of an alleged fake prophet in Benin City. The alleged fake prophet was picked up in the church following a case of fraud in obtaining by false pretense, as we hear from our crime correspondent, Festus Alenke.
According to reports, on the 3rd of May 2022, the police swooped on the said fake prophet, who is alleged to be a fraudster masquerading as Prophet Benson Nosakae, who prey on gullible members of the public through the use of false prophecies and divine pronouncements. Police say one of his victims, Mr. Samudi Ahmed Thompson, wrote a petition to the Edo State Commissioner of Police and complained that he was hypnotized by Prophet Benson Nosakae of Power Ground Chapel Incorporated, situated at number 3 Uwa Street off Secondary Circular Road, Benin City. The victim further complained that Prophet Benson Nosakae claimed that he saw him in a vision where he had an accident with his Lexus ES350 car. He said the prophet told him that for him to avert the accident, he should leave the car in the church for spiritual cleansing, adding that any attempt to drive the car henceforth will result to death from the accident. He subsequently left the car in the church. According to the victim, he said he later realized that the car he left behind was now changed from gold color to black color. He said the prophet also collected his gold bracelets worth millions of naira.
Pastors will have to drop the car. Ever since that time till now, he hasn't given us back the car. And some people, some members in the church, were telling us that he said if who drops his car and come back again for the car, the person will die. That was the fear I was having in my mind, that I could not speak up till my uncle came and asked me, come and pick me from the airport. I was like, uncle, my car is not with me again. See who my car is with. So that was why we came to...
What kind of car?
Lexus ES350 Salon.
In an interview, the suspect, Benson Nosakae, admitted to have collected the cars, but said the victim used it to sow seed in the church.
What's your name, sir?
Benson Nosakae.
You are a pastor?
Yes, sir.
Which church?
Power Ground Chapel.
Where is it located?
Second Circular, Uwa Street.
Okay, what happened that brought you to police headquarters in Benin?
One of my members who gave a car as a seed was one who came to report
that,
and that I forcefully collected it from him, which was not true.
So what about the gold?
The gold was given to me as a gift.
How many gold?
There are 2 in number.
He gave it to you as a gift.
Yes.
How did you not come back to police to report?
So that's why I'm shocked.
The following cars were recovered during our search on his apartment in Benin City. They include Lexus ES350 car and Lexus RS350 Jeep, obtained from Odige Godspower using same fake prophetic pronouncements, and gold worth millions of naira. The Commissioner of Police Edo State CP Abutu Yaro, while commending the operatives for their prompt response, said some prophets tend to instill fear into the people with doomsday prophetic pronouncements. CP Abutu Yaro, who spoke through the Police Public Relations Officer, SP Bello Kontongs, said such fake prophecies are designed to fraudulently obtain money and other personal items from people whose problem will then be worsened rather than being solved. The police commissioner said such people will certainly have their time with the law, as he directed the police investigative team to immediately charge the fake prophet to court for fraud and obtaining money by false pretense.
The complainant, when he comes back to his senses, he now discovered that the pastor with the fake prophet have changed the color of the car and started using the car.
From the headquarters of the Edo State Police Command in Benin City, Festus Alenke, EBS News.
Now to community matters. The attention of Elder JDA Igodaro's family has been drawn to the clandestine activities of some persons and land speculators trespassing into the parcel of land measuring 1,000 feet by 500 feet situated at Obe Community on Sapler Road opposite Wells Hosa Farms, which was originally allocated to Elder JDA Igodaro by the Oba of Benin with approval date of 5th January 1970. It has been discovered that some persons, allegedly led by one Richard Amino in connivance with Monday Iyewaye and Michael Agagbese, forcefully entered the land and demolished the perimeter fence around the land. Counsel to Igodaro family, Chief Richard Iyenseke, Esquire, says the matter is pending at the High Court with suit number B/506/18 involving Elder JDA Igodaro, Nosa Igodaro versus Richard Aminao, Monday Iyewaye, and Michael Agagbese. Chief Richard Iyenseke Esquire has therefore warned land speculators and buyers to refrain from trespassing on the said 1,000 feet by 500 feet, as it is not for sale, and any buyer who purchases such parcel of land does so at his or her own risk. Reacting to the matter, the Elders Council of Obe, led by the Odionwe Pa Albert Ogbomekan, said the community neither at any time allocated such parcel of land to Mr. Nosa Igodaro nor his father, Chief JDA Igodaro. Pa Ogbomekan said the matter is presently before a court of competent jurisdiction and Mr. Nosa Igodaro should allow the law to take its course. He explained that Mr. Michael Aragbese, Mr. Richard Amino, and Mr. Monday Iyewaye are responsible sons of Obe community who have never been into land grabbing as been speculated by Mr. Nosa Igodaro. The Odionwe, on behalf of the Council of Elders of Obe, urged members of the public to disregard the statement of Mr. Nosa Igodaro pending the determination of the matter concerning the said parcel of land, which is currently in High Court 10, Benin City. And that's how we end our morning news for today. Do have a pleasant day. I'm Juliet Samuel Asain.
EBS TV, television reloaded.